Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? The presentation is about to begin. Welcome to our one and only forum PKP that is held online, which is an Ijarah topic. Honorable Bro Iqbal and Bro Faiezy, respective guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to this presentation. I am a moderator and also my name is Abdullah bin Mohammad Nasron. As an employer and the representative from Prima company. On this occasion, we would like to have a brief or a talk from our two special guests. Before our forum begins, allow us to introduce the presenter. This is Bro Mohammad Shuail Iqbal bin Mohammad Shahril. He has been working as a bank financial advisor. He had dived in this major for 3 years estimatedly. And I will give some definition of Al-Ijarah contract. The definition of Al-Ijarah can also be understood with the concept of trade used in Islam. Ijarah contract also means, in a short, transfer the rights of assets on it to another party with their specific agreement of period between each other. Another name that is often called by the public is Islamic leasing. But in terms of employment, Ijarah contract can also be used. The evidence from the Quran and Hadith that we pick it from Surah Al-Qasas, verse 26. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قالت إحداهما يا أبت استأجر إن خير من استأجرت القوي الأمين. صدق الله العظيم. Which is the meaning is one of the two women said, yes, my father, take him as a person who works for us, because indeed the best person you take to work for us is a strong and trustworthy person. According to the majority of scholars, the pillars of Ijarah are four, namely the first was Aqid, which is people who make a covenant. Second, Sirat, the statement of will, which is commonly called the Sirat Aqad, consists of Ijab and Qabul. And third, wages, that is something given by the Mustajir for the service and have been given or taken advantage of by the Muajir. For the fourth, benefits. And without further ado, I would like to ask about Ijarah contract, which is management of Ijarah. Welcome the presenter to deliver the presentation. All right, Bro Iqbal, please introduce yourself and please share to us briefly what is the management of Al-Ijarah contract. The floor is yours.
All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohammad Iqbal bin Mohammad Shahril. I have been working as a bank financial advisor for about 3 years in Islam. First of all, thank you, Mr. Haqq, and for inviting me and conducting such a good forum with a good topic that can make us know more about Ijarah. I am honored to be here and will try my best to share a good input as I can, inshallah. Okay, back to the question asked by Mr. Haqq, which is about the management of Al-Ijarah contract. First, let us be clear that the management of Ijarah is important to ensure that each condition in the Ijarah contract is complied with by lessor and lessee. There are three important aspects that we must emphasize, which are first, use of the lease asset. Basically, the lessor and lessee will specify in their lease agreement the purpose of using the lease asset. If they do, the lessee cannot use the lease asset for any purpose other than the purpose specified in the lease agreement or the contract. For example, in house ijarah, if the both side, which is lessor and lessee, specified in the agreement to only allow the lessee to live in the house, so the lessee must not take advantage or lease it for the other purpose. However, if no such purpose specified in the ijarah contract, so the lessee can use the asset for whatever purpose it is used in the normal course. It means the lessee can only use the asset in accordance with its use. However, if the lessee wants to use the asset for another purpose, which is an abnormal purpose that is not suitable with its use, they cannot use it without the lessor's permission. Alright, secondly, the management of al-ijarah, rights and liabilities. Both parties, the lessor and the lessee, should know their rights and responsibilities in terms of the ijarah contract. This will avoid misunderstanding between them. As we know, in ijarah, the legal title of the property remains in the ownership of the lessor, but only right to use the property is transferred to the lessee. For example, in the context of house ownership, the lessor still has to pay taxes that refer to the property, while the lessee has to pay the bills that refer to the use of the house, such as electricity bills, water bills, and other than that. The third aspect of the management of al-ijarah is lease period. The period of lease must be determined in clear terms. It means both contracting parties must agree to the period of lease in the agreement. This also means the lessor is ready to give his assets right of use to the lessee for the period of time stated in the ijarah contract. Then one more important thing is both parties, which are the lessor and lessee, is permissible to review the lease period or the rental or both of that. It means the lease period may change if both parties agree to do so. This is because the lease or ijarah contract occurs periodically, unlike the sale contract where the transfer of ownership is immediate. That's all from me about management of al-ijarah.
Thank you, Bro Iqbal or Mr. Iqbal, for the informative and wonderful sharing session. From his storytelling session, we find that the management of Ijarah is important to ensure that each condition in the Ijarah contract is complied with by lessor and lessee. There are also must emphasizing the important aspects during in Ijarah contract. In this contract also, the lessor and lessee will specify in their lease agreement the purpose of using that lease asset. Let us move on with our next guest speaker. It seems he hasn't spoken yet, and we can wait to hear a talk from him. So, Bro Faiezy or Mr. Faiezy, how are you today? Thank you for coming to my forum for today. In most contracts in Sharia, there is always this solution for it. Does the Ijarah contract also have one?
Sure. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone. My name is Mohammad Faiezy. and I am one of the researchers in IIM, currently taking PhD on Islamic finance. So first and foremost, thank you, Mr. Haqq, for inviting me to this forum, and I hope that I will share to you all will benefit, inshallah. So basically, every contract in Muamalah will have the dissolution or termination in it. As for the Ijarah contract, there are three things that may affect and terminate the contract. Firstly, due to the damage of the Ijarah asset. For example, if a tenant rents a house or a car, then the house is destroyed or the car is damaged before it is used, the contract is void. This is because the asset is not capable of giving the usufruct, whereas the main purpose is to benefit from the usage of the usufruct. Thus, the tenant or the lessee has the right to cancel the contract because the subject of the lease can no longer be used. Besides that is due to the expiry of the lease period. The rental contract ends when the service of the usufruct is completed. If service is measured by work performed, the contract expires as soon as the work is completed. For example, someone hires the other party to clean a house. Then as soon as the work is done, the contract expires and the employee has to pay his wages. However, if the lessee uses the goods like a car, even after the period has expired, he or she will have to pay the corresponding rental fee as payment for the services used after the period has expired. Therefore, he is also responsible for the rental goods for using the service without a contract. Lastly, regarding either of the parties dies, there is a different opinion between the Hanafi scholars and the majority of scholars like the Shafi'is. The Hanafi says that if one of the parties of the contract dies, then the contract is void and terminated. This is because, in their view, service is a kind of benefit but is not a property that can be inherited. While the majority of scholars say that if one of the parties dies, the contract is not void. This is because they consider that the service is a form of property. Then thus, it can be replaced by their heirs, and they have to be held accountable until the agreed period expires. Wallahu a'lam.
Oh, there are three things that make the Ijarah contract terminated void. So, Bro Iqbal or Mr. Iqbal, do you know about any current practice of Ijarah management?
Thank you for the question. Regarding to the current practice of Ijarah, I would like to share and explain about suku Ijarah that most widely applied, especially in investment and financing. And for your information, it was the first suku structure market at a global level. And for our shared input, in Malaysia, the first suku Ijarah was issued by Segari Energy Ventures Sdn Bhd on 30 September 1997. Based on my research, suku Ijarah is basically structured based on Ijarah contract. However, there are parts of sale and purchase in this type of suku. With that, suku Ijarah is a suku that applies the contract of sale and purchase and also contract of Ijarah altogether. For better understanding, the operation of suku Ijarah basically involves three parties, which are originator, SPV, and investors. Originators, which can be a company, government, and or public institution. They will sell their asset or property to the SPV. Then, this SPV will issue sukuk to the investors to collect the fund. The investors as sukuk holders will invest their money to purchase the asset with help from SPV. After that, the SPV that represents the investors, which is sukuk holders, rents the property to the company for a specific period based on the Ijarah contract. In this part, SPV is the lessor and the company as the lessee, and this both parties enter in Ijarah contract. The company pays the lease payment based on the contract to the SPV, and the SPV will distribute the lease payment to the investors, and in the form of periodic distribution. And at the maturity of sukuk, SPV will sell the property or the asset to the company. It means the company will repurchase the asset that they sell first. And the company will pay the repurchase the SPV, and the SPV will distribute it to the investors as the sukuk holders. However, as we know, although sukuk ijarah is the first sukuk market at a global level, that does not exclude sukuk ijarah from criticism and issues of dissatisfaction. Among of the issues discussed and debate were about the guarantee in sukuk, the sale and leaseback structure and pricing of sukuk. For example, there are many opinions regarding guarantee in sukuk, and the issue arise when the originator benefiting from the sukuk establish SPV that issues the sukuk, while the originator stands by to provide guarantee against any shortfall. That's about sukuk ijarah.
Ladies and gentlemen, finally, we come to the end part of our presentation. We would like to say thanks again to the presenter for the informative and interesting talk, and to audience for active participation. Hopefully, the presentation will be beneficial for everybody. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.